One.
We are so excited in Las Vegas today. This is actually our first program for manifesting your dreams. And I'm very happy today. I have an outstanding guest. Jeff is a friend of mine. You get to meet him in a little bit. Really great things happening with our program. And what we want to do, we are going to be helping anybody that wants to manifest their dreams, giving them the tools, the strategies, the inspiration, making things happen. And the way that we're going to do it every week, from now on, we're going to be covering a chapter. Some of you have read this book, some of you may have heard it, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And the first chapter, or even the introduction, is about thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. And if you have any dream, if you have anything you like to accomplish in your life, to manifest, you have to start with an idea, right? Everything that was ever created started with an idea. So I had this idea, and then Jeff showed up. I mean, he actually doesn't even live in Las Vegas. He's here on a little vacation. But we met about 10 years ago. We were part of the fire team for Tony Robbins. We were actually helping build the fire that thousands of people walk the fire walk. And he's visiting here in town. And I couldn't have chosen a better guest than Jeff for our pilot program here. So Jeff, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell our viewers a little bit about you, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay. A little bit about me. My name is Jeff Wilbeck, and I am from Chandler, Arizona, originally North Dakota. In 2003, we moved to Chandler. When I say we, my wife Stephanie, we've been married for 26 years. We have two boys, Alex and Zach. Alex is 22, just graduated from college last spring from NDSU, and Zachary's a junior in high school. And we got to, about 11 years ago, Stephanie and I were just, life was just kind of just, we were just living life. We were just roommates. We were just like, we wanted more out of it. And something happened where we had some free time. And I had been listening to Tony Robbins' cassettes, CDs for years, and I wanted to go to him live one time in my life. And so Steph and I chose to go to Tony back in 07, March of 07, in the East Coast. And like they say, the rest is history. My life and our family's life changed from that moment on. We started to implement and started to take these tools from books like Think and Grow Rich, and also seminars of Tony's and other seminars, and all of a sudden we started to apply them back into our lives, and that's exactly what happened. We started to apply them, and as we applied them in our lives, we started to change. My wife and I that were roommates, we started to become, we felt like we were back into our honeymoon stages. We were able to start having better communications with our kids, and with that, we started to contribute our time back into organizations like the fire team, and then you meet people like Pablo. Pablo and I just started to hit it off. We had conversations, and 10 years later, we've been friends ever since.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the key is like everything starts with an idea, right? Everything starts with an idea. And so many times we talk to people, and number one, they don't know what they want, right? People say like, I like my life to be different, right? I like to make more money. I like to have a different job. I like to have a different relationship, but they don't know exactly what they want. And the first thing that you want to do is start by defining exactly what you want to create, right? So we're gonna encourage you over the next 7 days, start putting those things. And if you don't have it, get a journal. I mean, you don't have to buy an expensive journal. You can get like this is a 99-cent book that actually put pictures on it, and it's like a walking dream board, if you will. But get a journal, so when you have ideas, you write them down, because how many times we have an idea, right? It's, oh my God, what a great idea, and we don't write it down, and then 2 hours later, I'm trying to tell somebody what happened, and I can't remember that thought, right? Mm-hmm. So put it in paper. So start thinking, what would your ideal life be, right? Your relationships, what do you do on a daily basis? Health-wise, start thinking what it will be. And the second thing that people do wrong is they think about what they don't want, right? I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be with this lady or this man or whatever. I don't like this job. So thoughts are creative, and every single thought we have it's actually putting energy in the universe, is creating it. So if we keep repeating what we don't want, guess what we are creating? More of what we don't want, right? So Jeff is, some of you know my story, how I released over 50 pounds of weight that I was carrying around, and Jeff actually helped me with that. Because the next thing you want to do is when you decide what you want to find somebody that already has it and then model that person, right? And when I look at Jeff, he always been in good shape. He exercises every day, and I wasn't. So I look up to him, and he was actually my accountability partner through that process where I released that weight. And something that I really like and admire about Jeff is the way he handles his family. He has a beautiful wife, a wonderful relationship with her, 2 kids that are amazing. And one of them is actually quite a manifester, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about that on the next segment. So you don't want to miss the next segment, because Zach is quite, you were telling me some stories, amazing about wanting desiring something, right? And actually making happen. But why don't you tell us a little bit about relationships? So what are a couple of things, a couple of takeaways that you learned that is really working in your life that maybe can help some of our viewers?
Okay. What I'll do is I'm just going to share my intimate relationship with my wife Stephanie and with my 2 boys. What we try to do is kind of like with Facebook, we try to we want to have like as many friends as we possibly can, and I think it's the quality of your relationships, not the quantity of them. And I had learned this a couple of years back. I went to a boot camp, and one of the things that I do on a daily basis, and what they call it daily deposits. And what daily deposits are is you take 2, 3 of your closest relationships, your spouse, your kids, your nephew, your niece, a really good friend, and what you do is on a daily basis you send them a message. And typically today the way we get messages sent to most people is through texting, and that's what I do. I use the technology of today to help me keep in contact with my kids and with my wife. And through this daily deposit, the daily deposit it's a quick message to them of something that you love, appreciate, and honor in them, or one of the 3. And so I just send a quick message off to them. I'll send a message off to Alex or Zach, and I'll just say, you know what, we had a conversation yesterday. I'm so proud of you for how you're standing up for yourself. I love the way you're coming into being, this young man. You're just a delight to be around. And that's all I send. I'll just send just a quick message, or just a quick message just saying, I love you. I told all 3 of them that I was going to start this about 3 or 4 years ago, and I didn't expect anything back in return. So the reason it's called daily deposits is because we're depositing information into our relationships, that something that we love, we honor, and we appreciate in them. So if you do this on a daily basis, just like if every day you walk to the bank and you put $10 in, you put $10 into the bank every day, and in 30 days you got $300. So a month from now you need to go pull some money out. It's easy. It's easy to take a withdrawal. So in our days and with our relationships, all days aren't perfect. So I might have a day where I'm just having a crappy day, and one of the kids comes in, or Stephanie comes in, and I kind of I get mad at them. I'm like, not the right time, I can't talk to you, and I kind of I'm mean to them. And they walk away, and they're like, Dad was being an asshole today. But they'll say, you know what, with the daily deposits, I know that that's not the kind of person that he is. So this is just a little tool that takes me 3 minutes a day. I take about a minute per person. I send a message off to them, something that they absolutely love. And I know I was driving over to California with Zach about 2 months ago, and we were talking about it. He goes, one of the things that I love is the daily deposits. He goes, I don't always send you messages back, but he goes, I look forward to them.
Wow.
So it's really kind of interesting to see the other side of it too. But it doesn't take much time. And here what you're doing is you're keeping this relationship built up, things that really matter to you, and you're not taking them for granted.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. And thank you for sharing that, and thank you for doing that, because that's quite an example that should inspire a lot of people. And when you're manifesting your dreams, one of the things that make a huge difference are small actions, little things that you do, but you do it repeatedly, daily habits, because your life is not going to change unless something that you do daily changes, right? And there's so many things that are easy to do, like sending a little text with something of value, like you're saying, but it's also so easy not to do, right? Because so many times people might say, like, I'm going to do that, and then, oh, I can do that later, right? Or I'll do it tomorrow, right? Then a week goes by, right? So one of the things that if you're journaling right now, you may want to take a note, what things can you do that are simple, but if you do it consistently on a daily basis, it could make a huge, huge difference in your life. Because I think the average in the US, the average time that the parents talk with their kids is under 15 minutes a day. I mean, that's kind of like the average. And those 15 minutes, that doesn't mean there's really deep conversation or something of value there. And when I see families like yours that do a lot of things together, I was just talking to my younger brother in Buenos Aires, and he's setting up a computer system with his kids. They're spending time together to set up a computer system. A couple of days ago, he was cooking. They were cooking together, you know, with the kids. Little things that you do with your family make a huge difference and create what we call magic moments, right? Magic moments that you want to celebrate for many, many years to come. So, great job. That's fantastic. Any other tip on relationships?
Yeah, just to add to that,
we're going to leave that for the next. We're going to have a break coming up, but we're going to hold that thought. Okay. We're going to cover that on the next segment. So I hope you're taking good notes, and tag a friend of yours that would like to manifest the dreams. Tag them, invite them over so they watch this program.
Estoy aquí en la ciudad de Las Vegas, Nevada, y bueno, pues yo los invito para que vean el programa Creando Nuestro Destino con Pablo Miguel Di Velo. Les va a encantar, van a tener mucho que aprender, así que no se lo pierdan.
Welcome back. You are on Manifesting Your Dreams with Pablo Miguel, and they were asking us how to stay in contact with us, and you can go to manifestingyourdreams.net. Okay, NET, manifestingyourdreams.net. Put your email address there, and we'll make sure we keep you posted on new things that are coming up. That they're going to be giveaways, things that we're going to send you, and things like that. But we're here with Jeff Lobeck from Chandler, Arizona, and a little bit earlier he was telling me how he's been traveling around the world just because one day he said, I want to give back, right? So this is a big, big thing if you want to manifest your dreams. It's not about just you, it's not just about us, but what can we do to make a difference, to make an impact on other people? How are you going to pay forward when something is working for you? So one day Jeff says, I'm going to pay forward, I'm going to pay forward, I'm going to go and volunteer for this organization and help them put together this program, and then a few years later he's traveling the world. Yeah. So he was just telling me the last time I saw him, he's been in 3 different continents since the last time we spoke, right? So tell us a little bit about your traveling around the world and how has that affected you?
Yeah, great question. What happened with me, in the last segment, we talked about how Pablo and I met. We met volunteering for the Tony Robbins organization, and one of the things that Tony's known for is one of his events, Unleashing the Power Within. People have a chance, have the opportunity to walk on hot coals, and there has to be a big group of people that volunteer to help get that ready, to have that set up for when the participants come outside. And 11 years ago, when Stephanie and I participated at an event, we were one of the participants that got to walk outside and walk across those coals. And after we walked across the coals, in that 4-day event, that event changed my life forever. And literally, those words are said quite often, but it literally changed my life. I dropped 40 pounds in the first year of being part of that. My relationship with my wife just got stronger, and with our kids, they have half of their lives are part of how this whole thing was taught to me. One of the things you were just asking me about me traveling around the world, when we went and participated, once you participate in an event like that, now you have the opportunity to come back and give back and contribute. And that's one of the things that I had learned. There are 6 human needs that we're born with, and one of them is contribute. We need to contribute back. We need to have that feeling of contributing. And so I felt like what happened to me on that 4-day event and how it changed my life, I just needed to. I chose to give my time and my energy to go back and help contribute and have the other participants have the opportunity to have the same thing that happened to me. So in the last 10 plus years, getting close to 11 years, I've been volunteering on the fire team. And with that, after you do something for quite a amount of time, like 10 years in a row, I probably have 25 plus events where I've gone and helped. And with that, you start to create, you find out how this whole day works when you're getting it ready for that. And there's a captain that is the one that runs the operations, and then he has 2 assistant captains. And one of the assistant captains into 2017, she was moving from one country to the next and wasn't going to be able to make one of the international events. And so the captain called me up and asked me if I would help facilitate and help her out and take her position over. And so in 2018, I was able to go to Singapore and I got to go to London. There was 2 opportunities I got to go help out with. So with my contributing, the opportunities of traveling the world just kind of, fell into my lap, but it's been a great 2018.
That is fantastic, and you just used a word that I was thinking about, and that word is opportunity, right? So one of the things that when you imagine something, when you want to create something, when you want to manifest something in your life, most of the times people have an idea and they say, I like this, but then immediately they go like, well, I don't know how I'm going to make that happen, right? And then they forget that idea because they don't know how it's going to happen. And that's not our job. Our job is not to decide how things are going to happen. Our job is to create it, to have a mental image of exactly what we would like to manifest, and then the opportunity will show itself, right? So we have to be prepared when that situation arises, right? Because you never know. You had no idea. They had no idea those opportunities were going to show up. But you got ready. You were ready when the opportunity showed up, right? And they said luck is when preparation meets opportunity. When people say like, oh, he's so lucky. Like somebody might say, oh, you went to Singapore. Oh, you're so lucky. Oh, you went to London. Oh, you're so lucky, right? It's like so many times I share things about my life and people say, oh, you're so lucky. And I say, well, I'm lucky by choice, right? I'm lucky by choice because I prepare myself, right? So when the opportunities show up, I was in a position that I could take advantage of that. So you want to be lucky by choice. Don't worry about how things are going to show up. Just decide what you want to create, what you want to manifest, and then be ready. And one of the things that you did, you were talking about in the earlier segment, excuse me, about making deposits by sending those texts to your sons and so forth. well, you've been making deposits for that to actually show up by so many times that you volunteered and you did something for somebody else, right?
Absolutely.
So at some point you have that withdrawal, unexpected withdrawal out of the bank that allow you to travel around the world. So one of the things, if you really want to learn about manifesting, of course, you do want to get this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and we're going to cover the chapter every week. This is the first week we're talking about thoughts are things. In other words, every single thought is creative, right? Not just when we are meditating, or we wake up in the morning, when we're praying for 5 minutes, but every single thought we have, 24 hours a day, okay, is actually creative. They're creative thoughts, right? And if you have children, if you have little kids, those are the best manifestors ever, right? It's
Absolutely.
like they want something, okay, and it's like it doesn't matter how many times you tell them no, right? They're going to keep asking you and asking you and asking you until eventually you give them the cookie, or you take them to the park, or you do whatever they want. And at some point in our lives, it's like we start listening to the word no, right? At some point in our lives, we start feeling rejected, right? And then we stop asking, right? But when you look at a little kid, you go like, it doesn't matter how many times you tell them no, they don't feel rejected, they decide what they want, and they go and they get it, right? So this is the best example that I could give you. And you were sharing some stories about Zach. Why don't you share that with our audience about him? Or we may need to wait that for the next segment. But think about that for a second. If you are able to tap into that energy of a little kid, when you were a little child and you said, I want this, this is going to happen, and you make that happen, what would you be able to create in your lives if you didn't care about what people think, if you didn't feel rejected or things like that? So why don't you share that when you were telling me about Zach?
Well, Zach? Yeah, sure. Well, one thing that I'll just start off with, doesn't matter if it's a child or if it's an adult, when you're listening to somebody speak, and if you hear the excitement and the energy behind, doesn't matter the words that's coming out of their mouth, you already know that they're going on that trip. You can feel it. You already know that. And that's what children are just, they live for that. They don't even know what they're doing. And that's what Zach did. Zachary is 16 right now, and when he was 9 years old, he's a big Harry Potter fan, and in Florida, on Universal Studios created this big park just for Harry Potter. And he goes, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. And one of the things that we've learned through Tony is that give your kids choices. You want to help teach your kids to be problem solvers. You don't want to solve their problems for them. And as soon as I understood that, then I said, you know what? We're going to give our kids choices at a young age. And so what we did is we started to give them choices. So as an example that I use all the time is our two boys are 6 years apart. They like to play games, and they got in a fight. They get in fights. And the old me used to come up, and I would yell louder than them. And if I was in a good mood, I'd ground them for 2 hours. If I was in a bad mood, I'd ground them for 13 years. Who knows? But then it would always change. And with the new way of teaching myself and also being a parent, I would walk into the room calm and I'd say, okay, you guys, settle down. Here's your choices. Your choices are you can keep fighting, but I'm going to come back in and I'm going to take away what you guys are playing with. Or you guys straighten it out between the two of you and you can keep playing. It's your choice. So if I did have to go back in, what happens is it's not my fault that I went back in. I'm not the bad guy anymore. Right. Now all of a sudden it's like I come in and I take away and they're like, oh, it was us. It was us. So Zach learned this like early on, and you know how they just soak things in. And so he comes in one day, he goes, I'm going to Harry Potter, I'm going to Harry Potter. And so what we did is we said, make it happen. You choose, you figure it out. We let it go. So now remember, he's 9 years old. I'd say 3-4 months later, he sits down and we have family meetings. He calls a family meeting and he brings a laptop to the family meeting and he opens it up. And there's a 12 to 15 PowerPoint page that he did research. He did research on Florida. We live in Chandler. We live in Arizona. We got to get to Florida. So he had on the first page how much air flights were going to be.
Wow.
So from air flights, he goes into, we're going to stay at this hotel because it's walking distance and it all has free shuttles. He says, Mom and I like roller coaster rides more than Alex and Zach. Alex and Zach, their dad and Zach, like to play golf more. So what we're going to do is the first day, you guys are going to go, we're all going to go as a family. We're going to the park. The next 2 days, you, myself and Alex are going to go play golf. Here's the golf courses you're going to go to. You're going to have to take a taxi over here. Here's how much it's going to be. And he had this all set up.
Wow.
When he was 12 years old, we flew over to volunteer at a Tony event. And it was right in the same place. We ended up going to Universal Studios, and his dream came true.
Wow.
His dream came true, and it was all his day. So as we walked around the park, we didn't need a map because he had studied it for so much on YouTube and social media. He knew exactly where he was going and what he wanted to do. So he manifested that at 9 years old, and it took him 3 years to get there. He didn't care when it was going to happen. He just knew it was going to happen.
That is fantastic. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. Absolutely. What a story. That's incredible. We're going to go on a break in a few minutes, and then we're going to be back. So, again, go to manifestingyourdreams.net and get on our list and get some information. And invite a friend, tag a friend, because we have a great and very exciting segment coming up in a minute.
Hi, I'm Glenn Alex, and I am inviting you to watch Pablo Miguel's Manifesting Your Dreams every Monday at 3 p.m. on socialmediashows.com. You won't regret it.
Shut up and sit down.
And welcome back to Manifesting Your Dreams with Pablo Miguel. I'm here with Jeff Lobeck. We're having a great time in Las Vegas. He's going to be leaving soon to Arizona, where it's a little bit cooler than here, right? Like 1 or 2 degrees cooler than here. But we are going over the book Think and Grow Rich. This week we're focusing on the first chapter, which is Thoughts Are Things. Okay, and we are thinking. This is one of the things we can't stop. Sometimes we want to stop thinking, right? But it's like we have a drunken monkey in our brain, constantly thinking about different things, and sometimes we're very proactive on our thinking, and sometimes we're a little reactive, right? So one of the key secrets for actually manifesting our dream life, manifesting what we like to have in our life, is to be a little bit more proactive and directing our thoughts in the direction that we want our life to go. Because every single thought that we have is actually creative. And you were sharing in the previous segment about one of your sons and how he manifested that trip to Universal Studios. So has he done that again at other occasions that he's been able to say, this is going to happen and make it come through, that you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, it happens pretty much ongoing, but the last one that I can think of, this just happened here not too long ago, is that Zach is his own kind of kid. He likes what he likes, and that's how it is. And he's into like music. He loves music, loves going to concerts. And Stephanie and Zach had a couple, it was the beginning of May, they went to Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift started her tour in Phoenix, and they went to the concert. And they both came home, and when Zach has something on his mind, he never shuts up about it. Never, ever, ever. He goes at every different angle, and to make a long story short, he was like, I need to go to this again. He didn't say, I want to go to this again. And that's a good thing that Pablo and I talked about, that thoughts are things, but the greatest way to find out how you're really thinking is to listen to the words coming out of your mouth. When you want something, that just means you want it. That doesn't mean you're going to manifest it. If you choose, or you're saying, I'm going to have this, it shows up in your life. But you got to be ready for the actions to take. So with Zach, he says, I'm going to Taylor Swift again. And so he started to search and search and search, and where he's going to be, where she's going to be again. And here's what happened. To make a long story short, I think it's September of this year, Stephanie and Zachary are going to be flying into Minneapolis, staying at a relative's house, and 2 of the relatives he talked into going to the concert with him. So there's 4 people going to the concert with Zach. So he's going to Taylor Swift again. So if anybody in Minnesota is watching this and going to Taylor Swift, Zach will be there.
Oh wow, that's amazing. And you know, we usually describe it like now it's part of his identity, right? And there's, they say that is the strongest force in the universe is for us to actually be congruent with the identity that we created for ourselves, right? So when you have somebody like Zach that's saying, hey, this is going to happen, right? Nothing can stop him, right? And at the same time, we have other kids that say like, oh, I want this to happen, but every time I want something, then it doesn't go through, right? Or every time, you know, my dad says he's going to take me to whatever, then it rains or something happened, right? So that became part of that kid's identity where he doesn't believe that something is going to happen. The beautiful thing, just like you're saying, we have the power to choose. We have the power to choose. So if we don't like something in our lives right now, guess what? We can change it, right? We don't have to just say, oh, this is the way I am. We can change it. And the same way you can change your identity, where you can start saying, I manifest things in my life, right? What I want to create, it actually happens, right? This is going to happen. And the way he said it is like, this is going to happen, is like you go like, I better get out of the way, you know, because he's gonna make that happen. So thoughts are things. So what is something that you like to create in your life? What is why don't you just start making a list, right? So if there were no limitations, right? You have to start dreaming, right? And sometimes when we were kids, I remember when I was a child, I was dreaming all the time. Oh, I can do this, or I can do that. And then eventually as we get adulterated, right, we become adults, we became adulterated, right, suddenly like, well, this is not realistic, yeah? or I shouldn't be asking too much, or other things don't have anything. Who am I to get all these things, right? But you know what? We have to start dreaming somewhere and just start making a list. Anytime you have a thought of, I'd like to drive this car, or I'd like to visit this place, or whatever, get your notebook and just write it down. It doesn't hurt at all to write it down, right? That doesn't mean you're going to go after that goal, of that outcome, of that objective, but at least write it down, because then you know what happens? You may think about that again, right? And then you may think about that again, and then you suddenly say, you know what? Maybe this is something I really should manifest, right? So keeping things, writing them down is very, very powerful. And just like you mentioned, pay attention to the words you use. And the best way to do that is something that we don't do, is to listen to other people. You know? Start paying attention to the words other people use, right? And they become a mirror of ourselves, right? They become a reflection on ourselves. And you were sharing something with me a couple of days ago, right, about listening more. So why don't you share a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, it's something that I had learned through who you hang out with is who you become. And when Steph and I had gone to Tony 11 years ago, we started to hang out with people like Pablo and other people that volunteered. Some of my greatest peer group is part of the fire team, is part of people that I've met in these types of situations where they're open-minded and they're like-minded. And one of the things that I had heard is that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. We should listen twice as much as we talk. And that's what we were talking about.
Exactly, exactly. And there's so much value when we start paying attention to people. There's so many things that we have in common, things from our past, from our future, from relationships. But if you start paying attention, most people are worried so much about what they're going to say, they're not really even paying attention to what other people are saying. And for instance, when somebody says like, hey, let's do this, and they say try, right? Mm-hmm. And they say, oh, I'm going to try, or I'll try to be there. Or even, it could be the words they say, it could be the text they send you, right? Sometimes you can read it on post, and when somebody says they're going to try to be there, pretty much they're saying, I'm not going to be there, but I don't want you to tell you no. You know? So I'll say, I'll try, right? So that's a word that we want to, deliberately, we want to eliminate from our vocabulary. And you know why people say those things? because they're afraid to say no.
Yeah.
Right? And this is something that is going to be a powerful day in your life when you're just honest with yourself and with people around you. And if you really mean no, you have to say no, right? Just say no. Don't worry about it, you know? Because it's like when people say they're going to be somewhere and then they don't show up. Well, the fallback is even worse. That if they have said, you know, I'd love to be there, but I just have another commitment, I cannot make it, right? Try is a terrible word. I can't. Right? I can't. When people say, oh, I can't, oh, I can't. It's you can't or you choose not to. Right? And because when you really think about times in your life when you really, something was very important to you, right? And there was no choice. It was like you were going to make that happen, right? We all been in situations like that. Hey, this is going to happen. And then you did everything you could, you put 100% on your part, and then somehow the universe kind of conspired in your favor, and at the last minute, at the last second, something happened where you actually were able to do whatever you wanted to do, right? But when we start setting up our outcomes with doubt, or I hope this is going to take place, or I wish that's going to take place, there's no energy, right? And you were talking about energy when you listen to people, right? The way they talk, they put energy on what they say. Our words are just the tip of the iceberg. Our words are just the tip of the iceberg. That's why when somebody says something, you can pretty imagine what the rest of the iceberg, what is there. So you are starting a new project in your life, right? Is there something you'd like to share with our viewers? Some of the direction that you move in? Some of the things that you're going to be manifesting, because you're going to go, this is something very interesting. This book, Think and Grow Rich, we're going to go over at another point how it came about, but it's a recipe from the most successful people in the world, things that they were doing, and they didn't even know what they were doing, right? So my mom, she's Sicilian, she's one of the best cooks I'm ever going to meet in my life. And it's like, if you ask her for a recipe, she kind of like, it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And she's like unconsciously competent where she puts the right amount perfectly, right? But have you ever done something with a recipe and you forgot an ingredient, right? And then you were like, man, this doesn't really come out that well, right? Like, well, you forgot the nutmeg. Every week we're going to go over one of those ingredients. What does it take to actually manifest anything in your life? So when you apply the formula and you apply it perfectly, you're going to get the same results that anybody else can, right? So we're starting with an idea, but then we're going to move over how we're going to make that idea over 13 weeks, how you're going to make that idea into a reality. So share a little bit about your ideas or where you're moving forward, what you like to manifest in your life.
Sure. And I'm just going to step back just 1 second because there's something that I do want to share because we were talking about words.
Absolutely.
And you talked about, the hope and, can't.
Exactly.
And the one word that we use all the time, it gets used universal, day after day after day, is the word have. I have to. And one of my mentors, Marcy Locke, she's collected a list of words that you should be conscious of and not put them in your vocabulary. And a lot of people, a lot of moms will go, well, I have to pick the kids up from school. It's like, no, you don't have to pick them up. You can have somebody else pick them up. You can have them walk home. You can have different things. But think about the word, I have to. I have to do this. When somebody tells you you have to do it, most people are stubborn. They get stubborn and like, I'm going to do the opposite. That's why kids that are teenagers, when your parents are like, you have to do this, it's like, no, I don't. And they typically do the opposite. So every day that you say you have to, you're telling yourself that. And all of a sudden, here you're having this dilemma in between you going, I have to do this. Like, I don't want to do it, but I have to. And that's just not a part of a life that we should be living. So be really conscious of the words that you use. The words that you use are your life. And if you can start changing them to like, I choose to, or I want this and I'm going to go get it. It's just one of those things. Think about the word choose, put that in your vocabulary very often. And it'll be funny on how things will change for you.
That is amazing that you said that. Because yes, let's say I have to pick up the kids, right? And what if I say, I'm going to enjoy picking up the kids today? Right? So suddenly it's like I'm giving a different direction to my brain, because my brain is going to say, well, if you're going to enjoy How can you do that, right? And then maybe you put a song that you like or whatever, or maybe I could pick up the treats, maybe, you know, bring something that they're really going to enjoy, right? So if we change our lives, the things that we're going to do anyway, right? So if we're going to do it anyway, why not do them in a way that we enjoy, that we are choosing to do them, right? Versus just like, oh, I hate what I'm doing, or, you know, great idea. I like that. I like that very much.
Just wanted to share that because I know we were talking about it. I wanted to finish the loop.
Absolutely. Yeah, words are so powerful. And what is even more powerful is when we are conscious about the words that we use and we deliberately choose the words that we use to create the life that we like, right? And I call that transformational vocabulary. And for instance, as you release 40 pounds, I release 50 pounds, and it's like every day, basically, we run into somebody that they say they want to lose weight, right? They want to lose weight, right? And then I'm going like, well, I don't want to lose anything. You know? So what happens when you lose something, right? Then you find it. You want to find it, but then people say like, I lose the weight and I get it back. I lose the weight and I get it back. So I made a choice there that I said, I'm not going to lose the weight, I'm going to release the weight, right? Mm-hmm. So when you release something, you don't want to see it again, right? And that's how I was able to actually release that weight and never gain it back. Mm-hmm. So words are powerful. What is another word that you have noticed that makes a difference? Either a positive word that you use or the word that people use regularly that maybe they say, I hate to.
Yeah.
Right? When they say, I hate to, right? I hate to.
Yeah.
Well, what does that do to your immune system?
I think it has a lot to do with, if you start talking about words, some of the words that are really, you know, think of the person that gets up on a Monday morning. Monday sucks. What if Monday was just another great day that you're alive? What if you changed your expectations for appreciation? You just appreciated that you got up that day and appreciate that you do have, say you have a job that you don't like. That's a great indication that you are waking up in the morning, you are having thoughts about something that you dislike, and you have the opportunity to choose to find a different job or choose to start your own career. So really look at that stuff. So with words, you know, when you listen to somebody talk and they say Monday sucks, thank God it's hump day, and thank God it's Friday, and every other Friday it's even better because they just got paid. That's the indications that maybe you're not living the life that you want to. How would you like to wake up every morning thinking it's Saturday morning? How would you like to have that day? How would you like Mondays to feel like Saturdays? That's your choice. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It's your choice. You're the one that chooses to go to that job.
And you know what? And if you have to go to that job, why not make it a great day? So gratitude is a key. This is something that actually people that manifest things in a traumatic way have in common, is the attitude of gratitude, right? Do it on a gratitude of gratitude. So maybe maybe there's things you don't like about that job, but what are you grateful for because of that job? Number one, right? So focus on things that you're grateful for. And number two, how could you make it a great day? If you have to be there anyway, right? You say, okay, I have to be there. Well, I choose to be here because I want to get paid today. But how can you make it a great day, right? What things can you do? And there's always something that we can do. See, this is something that I totally believe in. It's like there's always something. It could be small, it could be large, but there's always something that we can do that can make a difference, right? And whether it's just like when you meet somebody, say, hey, hello, how are you? You know, with a big smile, with a sincere smile, or when somebody asks you, how you doing? Answer that question with a sincere smile, versus just like, oh, another Monday, or whatever, and contribute to that depressing environment, if you will, right? Just put some energy into it. Be the one that brings up the energy in the room, right? Versus being the one that is complaining about it. And you know what, when you were describing some of the words that we shouldn't be using, it made me think of the word victim, right? It made me think of the word victim, right? So if you're the victim, you're going to have a trouble manifesting. I can promise you that, right? Because victims don't manifest much, right? So every time you feel in a situation like you're a victim, that somebody has the upper hand, somebody has control over your life, it's like, what can you do to actually change that idea, change that identity, if you will, where you're actually not a victim. You're creating that amazing day, right? Because you know what? there were people that went to sleep last night and didn't wake up this morning, right?
150,000 of them.
How many?
150,000.
150. Is that like in the U.S. or worldwide?
Worldwide.
Okay. So 150,000 people, they wish they had that terrible job today, right? That job that sucks, that they were alive and they could enjoy that. So that would make it every day. That would be a reason for us every day to wake up with an attitude of gratitude. So with that attitude of gratitude, we're going to go into a break and then come back for the next segment. We're going to continue manifesting your dreams with Jeff Lobeck and Pablo Miguel. We'll see you in a minute.
Hello everyone, please do yourself a big favor and watch Manifesting Your Dreams with Pablo Miguel at the social media shows every Monday at 3 p.m. My name is Donald Ozello, Dr. Donald A. Ozello, DC. I am a doctor of chiropractic in Las Vegas, Nevada. Thank you, and do yourself a big favor and watch Manifesting Your Dreams every Monday at 3 p.m.
And sit down. Shut up and sit down.
Welcome back to Manifesting Your Dreams.net here with Pablo Miguel. I'm here with Jeff Lobeck, and we've been having an amazing conversation. We are inspiring people on manifesting their dreams, right? And we all have dreams. We all have things that we like to see in our lives. Maybe at one point we were moving in that direction and something happened, and maybe we're in a place today where we like things to be a little bit different. And so our outcome is to empower you. Our outcome is to inspire you, to give you tips, to give you strategies so you can get back on track and you can manifest the life that you actually deserve, right? And to do that, we use in the book Think and Grow Rich. We're going over every week on a different chapter. The chapter this week is about thoughts are things. The important thing about actually creating whatever we want to manifest in the physical world, we have to create it first with our mind. We have to create it in a clear idea with as much definition as possible, because every thought that we have actually has a creative power. Every word that we use has a creative power. So we are part of social media shows here, the broadcasting network that is bringing you content every way so you could actually enjoy a little bit more about your life. And one of the things that make a difference when we want to manifest something is if you create the identity that you have a force that can actually manifest anything you want. And one way you're going to have trouble manifesting things is if you label yourself as a victim, right? In other words, we can either, and this is something that psychologists have done studies, they call it locus of control. Some people have the locus of control, that they're the ones that create things in their lives, and other people are just wired differently. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other one, but it's wired a little bit different, where other people have control of their lives, right? The reality is that some things we do have control, and other things we don't. So we would be very smart if we were able to differentiate those things, right? I have no control of the weather today, right? But I have control what I'm wearing, where I am, what do I do, right? So everything else, at the very minimum, we can control our attitude. When something happens to us, how we react to that situation that happened to us, we actually have 100% of that control. How we determine what something means, right? When we have a challenge or a situation, if we say like, oh, why is this always happening to me? Well, I just gave that situation total control, right? Or I could say, you know what, this happened to me. How can I turn this into something positive? How can I use this in my favor? So we were gifted with an unbelievable brain that has a lot of power. We just have to use it a little bit more intelligently. So you have some great ideas about that. Why don't you share it with us?
Yeah. I share this quite often with a lot of people that are struggling at a time. And I tell them, I said, I can change your life with changing just one word in your vocabulary. And they're like, well, what is it? What's the word? What's the word? And I said, you need to change the word to for. And they're like, what do you mean? And I says, life is not happening to you, life is happening for you.
Wow.
Now, if you really think about that, everything in your life is happening for you. That means that life is one of our greatest teachers that we have. If we just think that life is happening to us, now we're in that victim mode. Now we're like, well, you know, I have Monday and Tuesday off, and I want to go to the lake, but it rains. Well, then all of a sudden I'm a victim because I'm mad because I had a day off and I want it to rain. You had no control over it. You've taken it in as the victim role. What you can do with life is happening for me, now you can look at a situation and you can go, oh, what can I learn from this? So we have a lot of patterns that happen in our lives, and they start to show up in our lives when we start to realize that life is happening for us. And these patterns are just showing up in our lives of like, let's take like money. A lot of people want to have more money. Well, all of a sudden, some people might get into the mode of like this pattern of like, well, every time I get a little extra money, my car breaks down, or my couch needs to be cleaned, or I need some money to pay off a bill that just showed up. And all of a sudden now it's gone. Well, that's a pattern to like look at it and go, that's interesting. How is life happening for me? What is it trying to teach me now? So you sit back and you look and you're like, oh, I don't have that relationship I want with money. So you change the relationship, and all of a sudden the money that starts to go into the bank account because you get a bonus is all of a sudden now it's still there and everything's working. It's because you learned your lesson. It's very interesting on how it all works out. But when you start to realize life is happening for you now, here you are, you're part of this whole oneness community of this is happening for me. I can learn from this. So when you graduate from, like it's May right now, there's a lot of commencements going on. A lot of people are graduating. Well, commencement means the beginning. Most people think it's the end. Most people get done with college, some people get done with high school, and they think that's the last time I need to learn. Really look at becoming a lifelong learner. And if you can become a lifelong learner, that life is happening for you, you're going to have everything that you want.
That is fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic, because the reality is that life is happening for us. You know? So it is happening for us. Look at all the things that we have that we actually, other people don't, right? And when you were just describing that, I said, you know what, that has happened to me. I've been there, where you know, have some extra money and then something happened and that money went away. But then right now I'm thinking, what if I didn't have that extra money coming? The car was going to break down anyway, right? Mm-hmm. So it was good that that money came in, because I was able to pay, you know, that car that just broke down. So think about who do you know that can actually benefit from these great ideas and great information and pay it forward. Tag them along, invite them over to the next program. Start being an example. What if you became an example of creating your dream life? Think about the impact that you can make in so many other people, right? Just like you sharing some of the stories from your son and so forth, I'm thinking like, you know what? There were times in my life that I used to be like that, right? Like saying, hey, this is going to happen, and it happened, right? And there's some other times in my life where actually I didn't have that energy, right? That feeling of certainty that, hey, this is what I like to create, and it's going to happen no matter what, right? So what I'm realizing as I'm listening to you, Jeff, is that I had the choice. I had the choice in both occasions, right? Mm-hmm. I could choose to say, hey, this is going to happen because it's good, or I could choose to say, well, I don't know if I have what it takes, right? So this is something that we all go through. And when you look at people that we admire, guess what? They have bad days, they have bad weeks, they have challenges. Some of the people that you think their lives are perfect, we all have some of those, right? Like, oh my God, they're so lucky and everything's so perfect on them. They actually have a lot of challenges too, but they don't talk about them, right? They just overcome their situation, they overcome their problems. And don't we all know people that are always complaining about something, right? You think their life is a total mess, and then when you get to know them from a little closer, you go like, oh my God, look at all the blessings you have, but you never talk about them, right? Because they're part of their identity is actually to be complaining about something that is going on in their life. So none of us is perfect, and none of us will ever get to be perfect, but at the least, wouldn't it be nice just to be happy, right? To happily create the lives that we can, to make a positive impact in our communities around us. And if there was one thing that you like to see happening in the next 90 days, if there's one thing that you say, you know what, if I'm able to manifest this one thing, it could be in your relationships, it could be in your work, it could be in your finances. What is one thing that will make a huge difference, right? Because one of the nice things about manifesting your dreams is that the formula is pretty much the same, right? And you will have challenges. This is something that is going to happen, but then you become better at overcoming your challenges, right? Number one, because you expect them, right? So one thing, there's another book that I recommend, is called Mastery, and the book Mastery says when something happens to you that you were not expecting it, right? To go like, I was expecting something to happen. You just didn't know what it was. Right? Because that, like you were saying, that car breaking down or whatever, that something is going to happen. You know why? Because the world is in a constant state of change, right? If you think about this planet moving fast, right? And then you have 7 billion people now, close to 8 billion people, everybody taking some action. Somebody's going to do something that is going to be opposite to what you want to do, right? So there's going to be challenges that appear. The key is how do we react in front of those challenges and to be prepared when those happen, right? So what is something that you do when something happens unexpected? You know, what is part of your psychology or your mindset, or do you have any strategies when something happens so it doesn't mess up your day?
Yeah. One of the things that I do, and one of the things I'll finish with what you were talking about, is we all think that we're islands. We all think that we're by ourselves. And these are the type of programs that more people should be like listening to. There's so many things on YouTube and different things in this channel that right here, you could be on here every day for an hour or two and you're going to learn something new. And that's the stuff that we want to do. Then you realize that you're not an island, and a lot of people that are sitting in front of these cameras and talking, they're just like you and me. They've gone through it too, and they're still going to go through it. With that said, one of the things that I use is a tool that I learned about 2 or 3 years ago, and it's called positive focus. And so when something negative happens in our lives, what I do is, it's really quick, it's really easy, and simple and easy is the best thing because now you're going to use it. You're going to use it in your life. So
I like simple.
It's four questions. It's what, why, lesson, apply. What, why, lesson, apply.
Okay.
So what, why, lesson, apply. So the first thing is what happened. But here's a very important part of it. What really happened? What's the reality? You have to take all your stories out of it. It's just like,
sometimes we put emotion into it and
put emotion,
like a big drama,
right?
So no drama, right?
So no drama. So just what happened. what happened. Second thing is why. So why was it positive? So you got to find a positive in what happened there. So here's what happened in my life. Why did it happen? Why was it positive? What, why, lesson. What's the lesson I can learn? So the lesson you can learn is it's going to be connected to every area of your life. It could be your body, your relationships, your spirituality, your business. But if it happened in business, it's still going to react and help you in your relationship because something happened there where it's all connected. So what's the lesson you can learn? And now how can you apply this in every area of your life? So it's what, why, lesson, apply. I'll tell you a quick story, and I'm going to go back to Zachary. Zachary's in 8th grade. He had a really good Spanish teacher that was the coach for volleyball. He kept asking him because he was getting taller and taller, you should play volleyball. And he was in karate at the time. And he goes, well, I don't know if I want to play volleyball. Well, she finally talked him into going out. Long story, he's playing the first 4 games as their team played. They lost all their matches.
Oh boy.
So they really never got to go. It was the best out of 3 games, the best sets. So with what was going on is Zachary, with his first time ever being in a team sport, he didn't understand this. He was on the B team. They had an A team, so there's better players than the kids that weren't as good. So he was on the B squad. So finally, they get to the 5th game. The whole family's there, right?
Oh wow!
Whole family's there, and they're playing. They finally get to go to the 3rd game. They win a game. They lose a game. Now they get to go to the 3rd game. They had never done it before. And the whole 3rd game, she keeps all the 8 players in, and they win. They win. Everybody's excited except for one person in the stands, Zachary.
Oh.
Zachary is mad because he didn't get to play more.
Right.
So we're driving home, and he's all upset. So I applied these 4 questions to him. I said, okay, in reality, what happened? He goes, well, we won the game, and I'm mad. And I said, well, why are you mad? He goes, I don't know. So I said, what's positive about this? He goes, nothing. So I coaxed him and asked him a couple more questions, and he goes, well, what's positive is I'm mad about this, and I want to get better. I want something to happen. I said, well, the lesson is that you learn something, and how can you apply it, and what will you do? And he goes, I'm going to talk to my coach and see how I can get more playing time.
Wow.
So him getting mad made him realize I need to go do that. So how are you going to apply it in your life? I said, talk to the coach tomorrow. Well, Zach is not a person to wait. He sent her an email that night. And he sent her an email and he said, I'm really upset that I didn't get to play the 3rd game. How can I get more playing time? He talked to the teacher, or the coach, the next day. She said, you stay after practice, I'll give you some drills to work on. So he worked on them at school and at home. We went in the backyard and practice and practice and practice. At the end of the season, he got the most improved player, and she read that email to the students afterwards because he chose to do something about it. So he took something bad, negative of, I'm upset. We asked him, why was it positive? What's the lesson, and how can you apply it in your life? He applied it in his life, and what happened was he became the most improved player on the team, and to this day, he's a junior in high school, and he's on the varsity team, playing varsity volleyball.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. There's always something that we could do. There's always something that we can control, right? So Jeff, it's been such a pleasure to have you here, and we look forward to have you again. Maybe in a couple of months you can come back to Las Vegas. So for everybody watching, I hope you enjoy the show. Pick up 1 or 2 things that you could actually take action on, and share this with your friends, and go to manifestingyourdreams.net so we can actually include you on the next giveaway. So we're going to do a giveaway over the next week. So with all that, manifesting your dreams, Pablo Miguel and Jeff Lobeck from Las Vegas, wishing you an amazing life. You go and you make it happen. Bye-bye now.